Hello, this is Kent Lee Platty. I am the creator of RAS. Some of you know me from Twitter as MathBomb. I'm going to walk through a couple of features for the application, starting with just how to install it and how to do updates. Both the original install and any updates are going to be done exactly the same, so it's pretty simple. But people had requested that I do one, so I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to do that. So of course you go to the actual download page at relativeathleticscores.com and you go to the RAS metrics download. As you can see here, you'll go down to the download portion, and there's a link right there. You'll click it, and it's going to download the file. It's about 50 megabytes right now. It's fairly small. Once you get it, it's going to give you a zip file. Inside that zip file is a single RAS metrics folder. All you're going to do is extract the folder. Depending on what system you are and what extractor you use, this may look a little different, but whichever way it is, you just hit the extract all. You find whatever location it is that you want to download the folder to. Just for this one, I'm just going to throw it on my desktop, or wherever it's going. It'll take a few minutes as it loads, depending on whatever your computer system specs are. Once this is done, it's going to go into wherever you decided that it was going to go. If you do any updates, it's done exactly the same way, and you'll just overwrite the original folder, whatever original folder you have. The reason that we do it that way is because any of these individual pages could be updated at any time, so you want to re-download the whole thing. The database itself that actually contains the data, that's updated more frequently during the draft season. But during the development period, which is whenever I started to whenever I finish, almost every page is going to get touched every time I do an update. So it's important to make sure that you just download the whole thing and then overwrite all of your files. The system, of course, has its own report writing system where you can write your own scouting reports. You can add your own traits for individual players. None of that will be effective when you do these updates. They won't overwrite because they don't actually exist in the folder that you're downloading. The first time that you download it, those tables are going to be created, and then from then on, any of the updates you do, it's just going to leave that folder alone. Everything else will get updated whenever you do this update. So should finish any second now, and it should auto load or auto launch anyway the first time that you download it. So once that gets done here, I'll show you what the app actually looks like, and then I'll go into a couple of brief items on some of the features that exist currently. This is probably going to look very different further down the road, the further from the time I made this video to when you do it. I wouldn't worry about how the application actually looks because this is all being developed step by step. Everything's going to change as time goes on. This install and the updates, the process to actually do that is never going to change. That's always going to be the same. It's always going to be just downloading the zip file and then extracting it to wherever you want it to go to. That should work the same on Mac when I get the Mac stuff done. Right now it's only working on PC, but when I get Mac done, it should be exactly the same way. You're just going to download the zip folder and unzip it however that's done on Mac and throw it to wherever you want, overwrite any of the files. Everything should work good. It's taken a few minutes for just these last couple percentages. Gotta love it. So the application itself has been in development for quite a long time, and it's going to continue to be in development for quite a long time. I plan on adding features as we go and trying to make things more and more useful and better every time that we do this stuff. You see once it finished, it automatically went to the folder, and you should only see these files. If you see any more than these files, then I probably screwed something up. The app and the runtime folders are just there for some troubleshooting stuff. I would ignore those. You should never have any reason to go in there. The only thing you're really going to need is your actual application load right here. Sometimes it'll give you the security notice, depending on the security systems settings on your computer. This is a very small Java file, so I wouldn't really be concerned with too much of that. I'm not trying to steal any of your stuff, don't worry. So this is the actual basic main menu here. As you can see, you got all of your players. There's about 19,700 something players. So quite a few players in here. All of your filters for the main page are right here. You'll see that you can't actually click on any of the inactive fields because they're not here, so you can't do anything with them. When we make those active, those will become active and the other ones will not. So we're going to look up Calvin Johnson. You can type in, actually, let's just do it without caps. This is not case sensitive, so you can type in whatever you want. You hit filter, and it pulls in everybody underneath that name. Let's do Calvin Ridley since he's right there. And you can load the card directly from there, which of course will have their all-time score, their draft year score, which will look different. He was drafted in 2018, so it looks the same, but the further back you go, the more different that score could be. There's some other stats right here. Any player links that I have loaded in, both scouting reports, college tape, injuries, you can click on any one of these. If you're wondering about whatever this thigh bruise was, you can go here. There's a link to wherever I found that mentioned, and that's there. And that's going to be the same for all of the other links on any of these players. That's expanding. It's only at like 9,000 links right now. I plan on having that in the high 5-6 digits when I get done with all this stuff. Grades and traits, you can add individual traits right here. As I said, this is created the moment you launch the app, so we're just going to add something just to show. So we're going to add a trait test here. We're going to give an A in it, whatever it is. If you have a link to the video, you can just copy it to there. That makes it easier down the line when you're trying to, oh, why did I give him this grade and this trait? You can add a link right here to whatever video you were watching, or add the game name if you want to add the game name. Timestamps can go there. It just helps yourself for tracking. And then just whatever text right here. You hit add, then you got your traits right there. Scouting reports, this doesn't work yet, but this is going to link directly to the reports that you have written for him. Rankings, fantasy, and additional info, that hasn't been built out yet, so that'll be coming in the future. So we go back to our menu, and again, you can open your skeleton reports right here. This is going to be your report writer. Currently, these can't be exported out. I'm still building out the functionality for that, but eventually you'll be able to export all of this stuff out into various different formats so you can use them either for your website or in Google Sheets or however you want to do it. But you can write your own reports however you want. This is all customizable for whatever stuff you want to see at the time. So if you're just worried about positives and negatives, you can get rid of these other stuff. You can pop them back up if you need to. And then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The new addition that we have is this. So you can go up here to this table selector. You can select a different one. We're going to look at the tables here. This loads all the links in the database, about 9,000. Let's look up people who played Alabama in 2016. And apparently nobody. And nobody, so that's not working right now. Not sure why that's not working. I'll try to fix that before the next update. But you should be able to filter all this stuff out. Because it didn't load everybody. Oh, I still have Calvin Ridley, that's why. Sure, he's on Alabama. He's never going to play Alabama. So, Alabama 2016, you can look at anybody you want that played Alabama in 2016 that we have some kind of cut up for. It's the same thing for scouting reports. If you want to look at just the NFL.com reports, you can go over here and add that here. These are all the NFL.com reports that we have loaded. This is going to continue to get expanded out. If you have written your own reports, there's none on this because I just installed it, but your own reports would show up here, and then the traits that you've loaded will all show up here. Currently, it's not loading the name. There's a query issue I got to get figured out, but it'll load the name in hopefully soon so that you'll have just more than just the player ID here. But that's all the basic functionalities for it. The reports and filters for the reports and traits and grades are all over here, so you can do the filters for those as well. If you have any other questions, you can get a hold of me at MathBomb on Twitter, or send me an email, kent.platty@gmail.com. I'm going to try to get a couple more of these put together so that people can get a good idea of how this stuff works. For now, that's just how to load and how to do updates, and hopefully that helps any of you that have been having some troubles with that stuff.